Good evening, and thank you for being with us on this busy night here in Washington, especially busy for President Biden and his national security team, who is handling a number of foreign policy crises. One of those critical global security issues, the Israel-Hamas war. And today, the president's harshest words yet, saying privately what many of his own party have been urging him to say publicly. Israel needs to change how it's fighting this war because the country is losing international support. But Israel shows no sign of slowing down today, reportedly beginning an effort to start flooding tunnels. More on that in a moment. First, the big news here in Washington. Ukraine's President Zelenskyy in town making the case that Ukraine needs billions more in military funding or Russia will win the war and push even further into Europe. Republicans say their focus is the U.S. border. Without policy changes there, more money for Ukraine won't happen. Lawmakers leave Washington Friday for the holidays, so time is running out. There's certainly a lot to get to tonight, so let's start with CBS's Ed O'Keefe. He is at the White House. Good evening, Ed.
Nora, good evening. President Biden personally invited President Zelenskyy to come to Washington and directly urge Congress to act quickly on the war funding. But tonight, it looks like the face-to-face sales pitch didn't work. Tonight, a plea from Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelenskyy to the United States.
We are working to turn our battlefield success into peace, and we are heading there together with you.
The Ukrainian leader praised his country's battlefield success, noting it's taken back 50% of land seized by Russia. And in a bid to win over Republican skeptics, 90% of American security aid is being spent by the defense industry in the U.S. Standing by Zelenskyy, President Biden blasted Republicans for slowing the aid.
If you're being celebrated by Russian propagandists, it might be time to rethink what you're doing.
But the Ukrainian leader's visit did little to win over Republicans who say the aid likely won't be approved by the end of the year, despite the Pentagon warning it's running low on funds for Ukraine.
There won't be a deal until Joe Biden and Republicans reach an agreement, and that hasn't happened yet.
The GOP has said it will only support new Ukraine aid in exchange for the Biden administration agreeing to changes in southern border security amid a record number of illegal crossings in recent weeks.
Our first condition on any national security supplemental spending package is about our own national security first.
CBS News has learned the White House is telling lawmakers it might be willing to support new policy to expel migrants without asylum screenings.
I'm ready and offered compromise already.
What to do about the border is part of a bigger negotiation to provide another $61 billion to Ukraine through next fall, plus more aid for Israel and Taiwan. In Russia, a Kremlin spokesman said it would be watching the Biden-Zelenskyy meetings very carefully. And Mr. Biden said failure to act now could lead to Russian success later.
Ukraine will emerge from this war proud, free, and firmly rooted in the West unless we walk away.
President Zelenskyy also said while his country's made gains on the ground, it now wants to beef up the air war, something the U.S. has been reluctant to do. But Zelenskyy warned, quote, whoever controls the skies controls the war's duration. Nora?
Really interesting, Ed. I also want to ask you about that news about Israel. Is there a growing rift now between President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu?
Well, Nora, earlier today in a private fundraiser for his re-election campaign, the president criticized the Israeli leader, saying, quote, he has to change, and that Netanyahu's government is making it difficult for Israel to accept an eventual Palestinian state. This is the first time Mr. Biden has publicly questioned Netanyahu since the October 7th attacks, and it comes as the president's facing domestic political pressure for supporting Israel's ongoing offensive that's led to the deaths of tens of thousands of civilians. Nora?
Yeah, talk about losing support internationally. Harsh words from the president. Ed O'Keefe, thank you.